SUVs is where all the action is at. In fact, SUVs are the largest growing segment of the Indian car market, and they're drawing buyers not only from hatchbacks but from C-segment sedans such as these. But now sedans are mounting a serious comeback. Last week we had the new Skoda Rapid with that 1-liter TSI engine. This week we have this updated Verna, and next week we'll have the new 5th generation Honda City. The two questions that we are asking in this video is, can sedans actually mount a threat to the growing tribe of SUVs, and is this new Verna any good? So what is new on this new Verna? Well, I have to tell you, this is not an all new generation. This is an update on the Verna that is already on sale. But the differences to the nose are quite visible, especially this grille. Now, it's got this metal bronze lattice framework kind of grille. On the turbo, this is all black. On the other variants, this is in this bronze kind of effect, and it is very blingy, but it is also unmistakable. Also, the headlamps, the bumpers, they are new. It's got all LED headlamps. That is going to be the trend going forward in this segment. And the DRL signature, it sort of resembles the McLaren logo, which can only be good news for driving enthusiasts. This is the auto. What we're testing is the 1.5 petrol, the MPI petrol. In terms of the design, in profile, it is unchanged from the Verna that we have come to know for many years now. It gets 16-inch wheels, a new design for the 16-inch alloy wheels. It's running Bridgestone 195/55 tires, and on the rear, it gets a new LED graphic for the tail lamps, some chrome on the bumper, but that's about it. Visually, it's only the front that is really striking and really noticeable, and also the interiors have been significantly updated. On the inside, the dash remains unchanged, and to accommodate the larger infotainment screen, the designers have smartly given it a floating effect. There's also more equipment like the wireless charger, but because the architecture is the same as before, you can't fit a max-sized phone on the charging pad. Another irritant is the new digital cockpit that is too fussy, completely eliminates needles, and gets fonts that reminds me of old Casio calculators. The tachographics swing counterclockwise and the digital readout is in the thousands. At idle, it reads 0.6. At full revs, it reads 6.3. This is not intuitive. The cabin isn't very spacious, but the two-tone colors give it some sense of spaciousness allied to the new sunroof. The backseat space is tight, the shoulder width isn't great, and the door aperture is narrow, not helping ease of ingress and egress. The Verna also gets Hyundai's Blue Link connectivity suite, so you have the SOS button, you have the breakdown assist, and you also can call the Blue Link concierge service where you can ask them a whole lot of questions. They can push maps to your phone. Also, you have the Blue Link app. So via the app, you can start the car, cool the car, geofence it, track it if it's been stolen. A whole lot of very cool features that Hyundai has been rolling out across their cars. To be honest, this is not the spec of the Verna that we were looking forward to drive. This is the 1.5 naturally aspirated petrol. It's not the 1-liter turbo that we were looking forward to. It makes 113.4 bhp, 144 Newton meters of torque. These are figures that are very close to the turbo. The turbo makes 118 bhp, so it's around 5 bhp down on the turbo. But the good thing about these naturally aspirated petrols is its refinement. Now at idle, at a regular cruise, 60-70 kilometers per hour, you can barely hear the engine. And the Verna, it also has good sound insulation. So it is a very quiet cabin, very hushed. The refinement is really good. It's a strong suite of this engine. This engine is mated to a CVT gearbox which does an admirable job of reducing the characteristic rubber band effect. But there is no eliminating it altogether, especially on hard acceleration. An enthusiast is unlikely to enjoy using this gearbox. Now that is on the engine and transmission front. In terms of the chassis, well, the car is unchanged. So the dimensions, the wheelbase, the track, all of that remain unchanged. The platform is also the same. But what they have done is tweaked the damper settings and the spring settings. So what they've really improved on is the rebound. If you go over a bump, over a speed breaker, the nose, it no longer pogos, it stays planted. So it does one jump over the speed breaker and it stays flat. There is no danger of the nose bottoming out now over bad roads. And you can drive it quite fast over bad roads. The suspension compliance is actually pretty good. It is getting more and more European in terms of its feel. So all the ripples in the road, you do feel it, but it also is absorbent. It does take it in its stride, and the handling has definitely improved. There is evident body roll that is there. They haven't cut that out completely, but the grip from the front end is actually pretty good. You can lean on the front. These Bridgestones, they do start to squeal when you're hustling it, but you can lean on it, you can push it, and you can carry a fair bit of cornering speeds in this new Verna, or well, updated Verna. The brakes, it's got disc brakes up front, drum brakes at the rear. Now on dry roads, it works perfectly well, but you hit a wet patch or you hit some gravel on the road and the ABS kicks in. That ABS sensitivity for slippery surfaces is too sensitive, so it kicks in too early, whereas you want the braking but the ABS is kicking in. So that really needs to be looked into, and especially now because of the monsoons, you notice that even more. Now, like I said, the platform is unchanged, so wheelbase is the same, and that means the space inside the car is also the same. As a driver, you get a very good driving position, nice and low, the steering, it adjusts for reach as well as rake, but at the back, I can barely fit in if I adjust the seat to the driving position that I like. Also, the width is not really great, so 4 people is just about it. You can't really squeeze in 5, it gets too cramped in here. This is not a car for somebody to be chauffeur driven in, but for somebody who enjoys driving, this actually is pretty good. Now the steering, it is light. I would have preferred it to have more weight, and I would prefer to have more feel and feedback also through the steering. But it is not like those completely lifeless steerings that Hyundai used to do in the past. So the steering feel has also improved. So when you're going around corners, it's not like the wheels are doing one thing, you are doing another thing. It is now more connected, that feel is there, and you actually enjoy driving this car. Now, that is a surprising part. The Verna was never a car that you enjoyed throwing around corners, but now the Verna is actually good fun to throw around corners. I'm sure with that turbo engine, with that bottom end grunt that you would get from the turbo, that would make it even more interesting and fun to drive. The engine, when you rev it hard, you can hear the engine, but it's not an irritating or a poor noise. It's actually pretty alright. But you really do have to work the engine because it doesn't have the low down grunt of turbo petrols that we've gotten used to. I say all this in reference to the Polo and the Rapid TSI with the 1 litre TSI engine, and those felt more enthusiastic, more eager to get a move on. With the Verna, with this 1.5 MPI, you have to really work the engine to get it to move. And then it takes time to build up. It's not instant. That turbo, the torque, the kick that you get is all instant. With MPIs, it's not instant. You have to really work the engine. I would say take it a little easier, and then you really start to enjoy driving the Verna. And you start to appreciate its comfort, its equipment, its refinement, its ride quality, and also now its handling. So it's not a high revving DOHC 16 valve engine. I guess the Honda City, that would set the benchmark for rev happiness, but let's wait and see once we drive it. C-segment sedans, have they had their moment under the sun, and should we just now focus on SUVs? Well, I don't think so, especially since the driving dynamics of a sedan are still one step up on an SUV. No matter how much engineers work on the ride and handling of SUVs, a sedan, you sit lower, the driving dynamics are sharper, and it puts a wider smile on your face. And that itself is good enough reason to choose a sedan over an SUV. The second, obviously, are the proportions, the stance. This is the classic shape that we doodled in our books while we were supposed to be studying in school. The styling, obviously you can make up your mind about it, but it still looks desirable. And as for the Verna, well, the story, it does not end here. There is the turbo with the DCT gearbox, and I really can't wait to drive that variant.
Subscribe to the Evo India channel and hit the bell icon to keep pace with the thrill of driving.